Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing kind of a renovation, although I don't know if this is considered a renovation because I basically just bulldozed the lot and I'm replacing it with an entirely different shape and an entirely different type of building. So I'm calling it a reno. Might not actually be classified as a reno. I think you have to keep some of the original integrity, but we're doing a similar thing on this lot. So we are in Glimmerbrook and this is the Elixirs and Brews bar, and I've decided that I wanted to replace it. I think that it is not my favorite building I've ever seen. We'll just keep it at that. And I wanted to do something that I felt like fit a little bit better into this world. You know, Glimmerbrook is very limited on the lots, and one of them being a community lot and a bar didn't make the most sense to me. Also, I've built a house that was specifically for Glimmerbrook, and it had its own little private pub and bar in the basement, so I figured if you were going to replace this lot, it would make so much more sense to turn this into a cafe. So this is going to be a coffee and pastry shop, and I have to tell you guys, this is probably one of my favorite builds I've ever done. I feel like I've been in such a funk recently. I haven't liked anything that I've been putting out, which is so disappointing to me because I usually am like very adamant that I have to like every single thing that I make. And I don't know what it is because I don't think there's anything wrong with what I've been creating recently. It just didn't spark like that happiness inside me. Like I wasn't overjoyed with some of the stuff that I was creating and like really excited to share it. But this one is such an exception. I am so excited for you guys to see this, and I'm really excited for you guys to be able to download it and use it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out overall. Yesterday I put out a set of elemental tiny homes, and I spent a good majority of that video talking about how I just didn't know if I liked it or not, and I'm just so glad that I feel like I'm out of my funk a little bit with this build. It came out exactly how I imagined it, if not better. It's so beautiful. It's exactly what I would want in real life. Like if I was gonna open a coffee shop, this is what it would look like. It is elegant, and it's got like that sort of lightly industrial feel to it, but it's very heavy on the greenery. I wanted it to be like an overabundance of plants, and almost as if you are sort of like lost in the woods or its own little corner that's completely covered by so many plants and greens. And inside it is just very classy, but so comfortable looking, like an upgraded Starbucks to the max, and a lounge, and you know, like somewhere where you could come and read and have a nice book and spend some time here. And there are so many seats. It's a very large coffee shop in retrospect. So there is, you know, you would get good business here. Let's just put it at that. I also made this lot cat friendly. I thought that was a cool little touch. Like you could come here with your cat, and it's got a romantic aura. So it kind of fits into the fall vibes, you know, like the very pretty sort of aesthetic that all kind of ties in. And of course I'm using some reference as far as it goes for the exterior, so I will try and remember to link that in my description box down below. Always remind me if I happen to forget about it. I also want to mention that this build and this reno was inspired by my friend Hip Renee. She recently did a renovation on this lot, and I watched her video and I was so inspired to do a renovation of my own. She actually turned it into a better bar. So if you want a bar, go watch her video, but I did want to make this a coffee shop instead, and yeah, she did such a great job. I was like, I have to give this a go, even though I don't do renovations, and this week alone I've put out 2, so very exciting. But I really do enjoy the way that this turned out. Also, the other thing that's really cool about this lot, so you guys, you know, I've been complaining about how Glimmerbrook looks. I really don't like whatever game shading they used in this world. I hate it. It's worse than Forgotten Hollow. I just don't like the way that the world looks. I don't really know how to describe it. I feel like as a builder, you notice colors a lot, and for some reason the colors in this world are very weird, so I've been avoiding building here at all costs. And some of you had recommended using a reshade. I don't know if it was super clear because I just don't know, but I do use reshade, and I usually use Urban Sims reshade. She has quite a few. I think Aquarius, Leo, Leo, and Scorpio. So I sort of switch between those three, and I love the way they look. They're very oversaturated, and I love that sort of look. It really brightens the colors. It makes it easy for me, so I don't have to really edit my screenshots. But some of you had suggested, you know, like using a different one. So I downloaded a whole bunch of reshades, and I was looking for one that was kind of like sepia tone and subdued the colors and gave it like a light pink, very romantic aura with like a kind of like a sunset look at all times of the day. And I was actually going to build on this lot with that on, but it was so overwhelming to like, and I know like my reshade, some people are going to say like, it's overwhelming. I love it. I'm not getting rid of it. However, when I turned it on, I was like, wow, this is overwhelming to the max. So I decided not to build in that reshade. I figured too many of you would probably be annoyed by it, and I didn't want it to take away from this build at all. So I didn't build with that reshade that I chose on, but the screenshots that are at the end of the video are all taken in that reshade and the thumbnail, and they are stunning. Like, absolutely beautiful. And I'm definitely going to be using more reshades for thumbnails and for, I guess maybe some builds if I can find some that are a little bit more easy on the eye, and definitely for end screen shots. So stay tuned till the end of the video. I promise you will not be disappointed with it's just beautiful. I am so impressed with how it made the game look. And it's so different. Like if you turn morning on and then like nighttime lighting on, the reshades are so drastically different from one another. It's absolutely crazy and so pretty. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, we're basically going to overgreen this thing. I really wanted it to feel like it was completely surrounded and didn't have too much room, because this lot is rather big, but I didn't want to make the coffee shop take up the whole lot space. It would have just been too big, and this is already fairly big as it is. You can see that you have the two sort of porch areas where you can go out and sit, and then you've got the upper deck that has a lot of seating, and then when you go inside, there is additional seating, and I even had more room, so I ended up doing a cute little thing out in the back, which creates, you know, like variations of where you want to sit. If you want to be up high, kind of right along the curb, and then there's an area in the back, and that is going to be more like closed in. I also imagine this would be really pretty for pictures. Like this is very like hidden Italian cafe, like very pretty. And I'm using a lot of debug plants in this build. So I want to explain really quickly because I get a lot of questions as far as that goes. So there's actually two modes in the game as far as additional objects that are considered debug. The first one is the show hidden objects catalog, and that will open up like basically all objects that your Sims use when they are doing something. So if you were going to make something on the woodworking table, like all of those wood pieces get opened up, or if you're cooking, all of the plates and all of the forks and all of that stuff. And then there's an additional cheat that you can put in, and it is bb.show hidden objects, and you have to do it in that order. You have to do show hidden objects first, and then bb.show live edit objects, and that will open up an additional catalog of stuff. And basically that is stuff that the Sims themselves have created when they made the various worlds and all of those decorations that you see around the world that you don't have access to. So a lot of them are plants, a lot of them are rocks, and for this particular build, they were absolutely perfect. One of the things we don't have in The Sims is a hanging basket plant, and preferably at least 3 of them in the next pack, please, for the love of God. I need them. But luckily, when they did give us that catalog of stuff, we got a couple. So there is 3 that I know of in that mode, and I've used them throughout this entire build, as well as a lot of plants that sort of just drape over the edge of buildings, and a couple of additional trees that are a little bit more woodsy but aren't available in the actual catalog of stuff. And they're really cool because they don't get in the way. So for most of the objects, like if you were to place a regular object in a Sim's path, they would say, you know, they'd wave in the air and say, I can't get through the path. But for these show hidden objects, they are, your Sims almost register them as not being there, which is good for some objects, not good for others. Obviously for benches and stuff, they're not interactive, so you couldn't like click on it and actually use that bench. But for plants, they're great because it gives the appearance of more plants on the lot without the additional cost. First of all, it keeps the lots a little bit cheaper because everything in that mode is free. And it also allows you to put more plants on the lot without it being so overwhelming that your Sims can't get through doorways and all of that. So I can use the hanging plants that come off of the edge of the roof and the ceilings, and it won't conflict with their pathway and get in their way whatsoever. So that is really, really cool. And a little bit of a tip, because I get questions about that a lot, and I don't do tutorials, and there are many, many more that will explain that whole thing in depth a lot more if you just look for the various tutorials across YouTube. However, I just wanted to explain that because I use both sets of objects in everything that I do, so at least I can say that I told you guys once how it actually works. And this big, beautiful willow tree in the back here is actually one of those show hidden objects, as well as the white and red striped awning over the front stairway. And I did put an additional stairway in the back that is kind of like the employee entrance. I just wanted to have like dual entrance just in case, and it also takes up a little bit more room when it comes to the interior, which we are moving on to. So for the interior, I wanted this to be like, you know, we are in Glimmerbrook, and I have been doing Realm of Magic a lot, so I wanted this to have some hints at magic, but not have it be overwhelming to the point where maybe if you didn't want to use this in Glimmerbrook, you don't have Realm of Magic, this is still a really cool lot that you can use. But if you want to put it here, you want to use it and have like that magical element to it, it's there, it's just not overabundant. So we are going to have like hints and traces of spellcasters and magic here and there throughout the lot, but it's not going to be like too much. So it's still a Realm of Magic build, especially because we are in Glimmerbrook, but I definitely toned it back as far as the magical elements go, and I went just more for like elegance. So it's very clean cut in here. The things that are like a little bit more cluttery end up being the plants, and everything you could possibly want in a cafe shop is here. So we've got espresso and coffee. I ended up putting in an ice cream maker, and then upstairs I had so much room I just decided we had to put in the cupcake machine, even though it's a little out of place and doesn't really make sense, and it's huge and bulky and I actually hate the way that it looks. I wanted your Sims to be able to buy cupcakes if they wanted them, so that will be upstairs when we actually go up there. But down here, we had enough room to do quite a few things. So obviously I wanted to make sure I had a bathroom, which is the little compartment that is located behind the stairs. I put one more door over there, and it's just like a closet. There's really nothing in there. I think I ended up sticking something small in there later on in the video. But other than that, I just wanted to make sure I put all the references to coffee that I possibly could. I don't often build cafes of any sort, so this is a really good opportunity to use some of those objects that I never get to use. And these are actually called like coffee bags, and I think they're the bags that like your Sims would pull out when they're making coffee, but I don't know how well those are going to transfer over the gallery because they're considered a food related item. So don't be surprised if you download this and the coffee bags are not there, which is one of the reasons I didn't do too many of them, because ideally I would have done a couple of shelves of them, but I didn't want to waste my time placing them everywhere knowing that you guys weren't going to be able to get them. But again, if you do bb.show hidden objects and then type coffee into the search bar, you will find those 3 bags and you can replace them on the shelf yourself if they happen to not transfer over. And then other than that, I wanted this to be like, I was using a lot of Pinterest reference, and it was from all over the world and all different kinds of cafes, but I just wanted it to be like a little hipstery, very cute. So lots of chalkboards. We have quite a few in the game, and again, it's another opportunity to use things that I don't normally get to. And some of the posters and random paintings that I don't ever use. One of them is from Cool Kitchen Stuff, and one of the like really plain posters has a swatch of just like coffee, and I never get to use stuff like that. In fact, I don't really use the posters in general because I don't like that they don't have frames on them. I think it takes away from like the elegance of it all. And in the back of my head, I am trying to think of ways that I can integrate some magic related items without taking away with sort of the modernness of this build, because so many of the Realm of Magic items are heavily like not modern looking. It's a little bit hard to mix the two of them together. But in the back of my head, this is called Elixirs Elixirs and Brews, and I didn't change the name because I feel like it still fits really well into like a coffee shop name, but this could be like a hidden place, you know what I mean? Like this could be like an area where spellcasters know if you go there and you go to the counter and you ask for the right type of stuff, you're gonna get something a little bit different than coffee, if you catch my drift. So I wanted to have like a couple of magical references, including the one poster with the potions on it, again, Elixirs and Brews. And then in general, it was just about filling up the area. So I ended up doing something really interesting that I was inspired to do off of Pinterest, of course. I was having a little bit of trouble with the two benches in here. I really liked the natural wood look. It pairs really well with the natural white wood on the floor and the cleanness of this whole place. But I wanted them to have two tables inside and not have it conflict with anything, and also have them be kind of even. And then I knew I wanted to do this really interesting accent wall. So one of the reference photos I was using had a menu that was just a giant chalkboard from floor to ceiling straight down, and it was right next to where you would like buy at the register. Really pretty. Everything was written out like super nice, and it had some cute little logos and stuff on it. And we don't really have like a chalkboard wallpaper, which would be super cool, Sims, super cool, but we do have quite a few black ones, and we have some white script writing, so if you size that stuff down, you can create sort of the same idea. So I put the huge square chalkboard area right over there next to where you would check out. At first it looks like it is like darkening the place up, but we're actually going to remove some of the walls and lighten it up with some windows. And it really makes this place interesting. It's very simple, and it took me a while to line everything up, but I'm so happy that I found that reference photo because it's absolutely what this place needed, just to break it up a little bit more and not have it be one huge rectangle down here that just didn't look super nice, you know? If you go in like a regular place, and they usually have walls of separation between various things, so that creates a little bit of separation between where you would order a drink, and then over on the other side is where you would actually prep your coffee. So most people, if you're not like me and all you do is drink iced coffee and literally nothing else, no espresso, no lattes, no hot coffee, you would take your coffee and go over to like a separate bench, and then there would be like creams and sugars out where you could add additional things to your coffee. So I wanted to have like a bench area that was by itself where you could do that. We don't really have any items that I could use to sort of symbolize some of that stuff. Like ideally, I would have been able to go into debug mode and find like little creamers or a little bowl that was filled with sugars, or just like a jar of sugar or a spoon, you know, anything. But those are the types of things that you actually can't really find in debug mode, to my knowledge. Sometimes things that are in debug mode are not called what they actually are. So if you type in spoon, you wouldn't actually get a spoon because it has a different name under the catalog, or it just has no name. And so you have to go through and scroll through everything by yourself and kind of look through, which I was not willing to do for this build. So kind of skipped that. Gonna decorate it with some other stuff, and you'll see me sort of bouncing around. I wasn't really sure what to put there for a little while, but I definitely knew I wanted it there. And then the other idea was to break it up yet again. Instead of using a wall and creating more like darkness in here, open it up with some shelving and just put a lot of like generic decorations up there. So there's going to be some coffee cups, some cute baskets, additional coffee, some books, various plants. Got to get the pumpkins in there because we've totally got the fall vibes going, and anything I could basically find. Again, coffee cups, something that doesn't transfer over the gallery. I did do quite a few of them. You're not going to get them when you download, but they are available in the debug category of stuff. And I don't know what was going on, but I was having a lot of issues where my game was suddenly freezing, and I was really worried all of my work was going to go down the drain. So you're going to see me saving pretty frequently over the next few minutes, but we are getting closer to the end of the video, so it's not super annoying. And I did want to make sure I included a couple of windows in here. That was something I kind of forgot about when I started the interior, like let's do some interior lighting because that makes sense. But we did remember to do a couple down here. No upstairs, and I'll explain why when we actually go up there. It's kind of unnecessary to do them up there, but they are a little off center. Ideally, I would have been able to move them over one more slot each, but that's not how windows work. So we're going to have to make do with that, and it brings some natural lighting in here that was pretty desperately needed. I don't know what your Sims will do because I'm not a game player, so I don't know how this works or anything, but I don't know what your Sims will do if they have full access to certain machines that are out in the open. I put an additional coffee pot over in this little nook where you would mix your coffee, and it was just purely for decoration, but I don't know if your Sims would go over there and just try and not pay for coffee and make it right there. So that might be something that you have to remove if your place is like, if you want to use this as an actual residential place or business place, and your Sims aren't making any money off of the lot because all of the Sims are just going over and getting the free coffee and the free popcorn. You might have to remove those, and you could just put a couple of more shelves over on the other side and add them additionally, but I wanted to have them there just as decoration. Again, I wasn't really sure what to decorate that space with. I also wasn't really sure what to do in this really long entranceway. So in my head, I wanted to have more tables in there, but there just wasn't enough tiles. I would have liked to have been able to push the tiles like one more back, but that conflicted with the stairs. So I had to kind of figure out like, what am I going to do with this really long stretch that literally nothing fits into? But I took a couple of the counters that I used to create the desk and just put them in the corner as like additional seating, but it's different. It's more like bar type seating. And kept it kind of simple. Put some string lights in there eventually and just decorate with those really pretty base game holiday plants that I've never used, but I've recently rediscovered. Very, very pretty. And it breaks up the space a little bit and changes the lighting slightly other than using like the mason jars all over the place. I try to use like 3 different types of lighting in every single build so that it doesn't get to be too repetitive. So in here I've used the mason jar lights, I've used the string lights, and then those ones that have the beautiful like ivies going around the top of them that remind me like fall-ish leading into Christmas. But this would be beautiful in the winter as well. Like imagine this place covered in snow instead of the greens all over the place. Oh my god, so pretty. For the bathroom, I did decide to keep it very, very simple and clean. There is nothing special in there whatsoever. There's not, obviously, like no shower or anything like that. So it's literally just a toilet, a mirror, and a sink. Originally, I was going with the Realm of Magic toilet, but it didn't fit in here. It didn't go with the stone very well. And I wasn't really using any of the other furniture from Realm of Magic, so it ended up not looking right. And I think both of those are base game, or maybe the sink is base game and the toilet is from Seasons, but this bathroom really didn't need a whole lot. Just finishing it off with like the wicker rug from Laundry Day, I believe. And that is pretty much going to do it for the downstairs. The upstairs ended up being very simple. Like I said, there's a lot of room up here, and we have this gorgeous skylight that goes across the entire thing. So I didn't need a ton of lighting up there. I didn't need a ton of anything. And originally I was like, I'm not going to put a bunch of seating up there because we have so much seating downstairs. But if you think about like an actual cafe, especially one of this size, if you were to go in and it was this pretty, it would be banging. Like there would be tons of people here all the time. So you would want lots of different seating options. And this area is obviously different, and it would probably be a little bit more sought out than some of the other places to sit because this one has the skylight. And eventually this room ended up being a perfectly shaped room for the string lights, which I never get the opportunity to do this because they are such a weird tile number straight across, but they perfectly fit without sticking in either side or out either side too much. So I was able to hang them directly across, and when you guys see the screenshots, it is just everything you could ever want. At least for me. I love the like fairy light aesthetic and like the light bulbs all over the place. Give me more of it. It's my favorite thing to do. And just gonna green it up quite a bit. I wasn't quite sure what to do with that wall that you first walk up to on the left. I knew I wanted to do something there, and the lighting is so drastically different in here that I wanted to like warm it up somehow with something different. So eventually I did add 1 or 2 mason jars. I also wanted to make sure there were a couple of bookshelves in here. I feel like that goes really hand in hand with cafes in general, that they're also like low-key, they double as a library. So you'd be able to come here and catch a book and a coffee and like sit and relax for a while. You could change one of the lot traits to free Wi-Fi or good Wi-Fi. I think that's one of the options. That would be like a really good one to have here. I don't know how any of that stuff works because I don't play the game, but I decided to do this wall as a mirror accent wall, which is like my new thing, and I did it a lot in the Occult Oasis, and I've been doing it a lot in general with Realm of Magic, but usually it's with like more of the darker deep wood mirrors, and this one I got to use a lot of the colorful light wood mirrors and create a really pretty look. So that is going to be the end of the video. Again, I'm so in love with this. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did making it. It is available for download on the gallery under my origin ID, The Alleged Simmer, all one word. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Let me know what else you'd like to see in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post, and I will talk to you all in the next one.